Hello. Welcome to stream. We're doing something very different today. Um we're making a sort of like cartoon like fantasy like fairy tale looking world. Um I would explain my like specific reasonings, but I still don't fully well, I have an outline for what I want the story to be, right? But I don't know how much I want to fully delve into it this early in development. But the point is, there's going to be 4 worlds to this game. There's Jimmy's world, which is just like a normal American suburb. There's going to be a cartoon like fairy tale world, which is this. There's going to be like a desert wasteland, and there's going to be a like destroyed like futuristic looking city. And I was thinking to myself, I don't want to like focus on one world until I think it's done and then move on to the next, cuz like I mean there's still a lot left that I have to do with Jimmy's world. But I was thinking like I don't want to just like work on that, because sooner or later I'll just be like working on it and trying to get it like perfect and like getting rid of like all the flaws, and then I'll be like, okay, I think it's done, and then it's October. So I wanna pace myself with these. I want to give myself 3 months each year, or 3 months this year at least, to work on each world. So I'd basically just be like alternating each world per month. So, you know, last month was Jimmy's world. This will be the storybook fantasy is what this world's gonna be. The next month will be the desert wasteland, and then the next month will be the futuristic destroyed city, and then it'll just loop from there. But yeah, anyway, honestly, so I set up a lot of stuff over these past few days before this stream, in order to just sort of like get a like groundwork for what I want this world to look like. And I gotta say, I am so proud. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a very subtle effect, but there is like very much like a VHS filter on top of this that I am so proud of. I watched a tutorial on how to get this like VHS filter look, and it looks great. I tweaked it a bit myself. As you can see, like if I come over here, you can see at the bottom of the screen, it's like actually like warping, and it does that at like the top of the screen too. And you can also see there's like a scan line going from the top to the bottom. I also love there's a subtle effect of like scan lines like interweaving, so you can see like the outline of the model is kind of like jiggling and stuttering a little bit. I love that. I also added some grain using the film effects in here, not here, somewhere in here. There's like a grain, like a film grain. There it is. So I added some of that. I added chromatic aberration, which is also in here somewhere. So you can see like the colors sort of like split apart from each other, which old CRTs kind of give off. So that's all cool, but one thing I'm especially proud of is I followed another tutorial, and it basically was how to like give your world a more watercolor look, because I'm thinking like my inspiration from this world is like old PBS cartoons, like early 2000s, late 90s ish, or like early PBS cartoons, which always have that like storybook like watercolor backgrounds and like inked like animated assets on top. So in order to give off that effect, I followed a tutorial on how to make your world look more watercolor, And all these assets are indeed painted with like a watercolor brush. So like all these textures, like the texture of the river, the grass, the dirt road, is all painted with a actual like actual watercolor, like the sky as well. I'm really proud of how I did the sky. I did like hand paint all of this, and I think it looks very pretty. But there's also a watercolor like displacement filter in the post-process material, which I'll open it up. It's right here in a bit, but let me first explain what's going on. So I added a like sort of watercolor displacement filter, which is kind of meshing with the VHS displacement. So I had to like add those two effects together, and it's not like over the top or like really like buggy where it'd be like it like looks weird. So I'm really proud of how these two filters came together. But also there's like some like desaturation in the watercolor to give it more detailed colors, I guess, which I think makes it look really good. One thing I'm especially proud of that I did on my own is this watercolor filter happens at a certain distance away from the camera. So wherever the camera is, there's like things closer to the camera don't have that like displacement filter as much as things that are farther away. So if I like especially come over here where you can see the edge of the river, you can see it's not being as distorted as like when it's closer to the camera as it is when it's farther away. And my God, I am so proud of this effect and how it all came together. What's important about that too is if you come over here to these models, these are meant to be like, and I want to redo these models at some point, I really do. But if you come like close, they're supposed to be like the like inked assets that are on top of the watercolor background, right? But what the watercolor background would do is it would still displace their models, but have the non-displaced versions on top. So you'd see like these like flat models, but it'd still be like heavily displaced around the model. So that's basically, well, actually, you know what? I could probably show you. So this is the node group for the post-process material. Let me keep the stream open, please. Thank you. This is the node group for the post-process material, and there's a lot more to it than just this. But yeah, basically, let's see. I think it's happening, yeah, it's happening in here. So this is more, this is like more of what the material is doing, is in this material function. So I have, yeah, so this is all, this entire group up here is the watercolor filter. And then these are the scan lines and the VHS like wear. And then the tracking bar that goes from the top to the bottom of the screen and the like warpy bits on the top and bottom. And then this is what, yeah, it's this effect right here is what is driving the well, it's determining, so each model in this game can be toggled to have custom depth. So if I come in here, you can see that render custom depth path is enabled. If I disable it, then it'll treat the object as if it's part of the watercolor background. So you can see it's being like displaced, and you know, the colors are being altered and the outline disappears. That is what the custom depth path does, is if I enable it, then it treats it as the like inked asset on top. So that is what this is. It's basically being like, this is what determines that. I'm trying to find where I have the distance thing. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So I have the scene depth, which is basically a thing to determine how far away an object is from the camera. I have a smooth step here, which basically is like the minimum is 0, so 0 is black, and the maximum is like a set distance, like a variable distance away, so I can determine how close or how far this effect happens, and then it's output into a thing. Hi there, welcome to stream. I wanted to do this, but I don't understand any of it. Yeah, don't worry, it's a lot. Thanks for joining the stream. But yeah, this is all, so I'm making like a cartoon, like, fantasy world. I have Unreal. You know, thing is, Unreal Engine, in my opinion, just can't figure it out, that's fair. But like, if you wanted to like sit down and like learn it, Unreal Engine to me is probably the easiest to go for, because this is all the programming is these visual based nodes, and I say it every time, I love this system so much because it's so accessible to anyone wanting to learn this. But yeah, literally the only way I was able to cobble all of this together is by watching many YouTube tutorials. It's all blue. Yeah, the idea is great. I'd say just start with, like, because like Unreal Engine has like templates that you can load up. Just start with like just load up the third person or first person template and just kind of run around and just start like placing assets into the level. Like, you can put like cubes and stuff, and then just like as you're sort of running around and playing around in it, just be like, all right, what thing do I want to add to make it my own? Like, how do I, say you want to make like a third person platformer or something, right? You want to add wall jumping. There's a tutorial for that on YouTube on literally how to do that. You don't have to know like animation or modeling or anything. There's literally a tutorial on YouTube for literally anything. So you could be like, as you're just like playing around, you could be like, what do I want to do? And then just look it up, and then it's there. But yeah. I was just talking about how I made this like sort of VHS effect, and how I got like this like watercolor background to look the way it does, and I'm honestly really proud of how this looks. We're probably not going to be spending so much time in Unreal, because we're going to probably open up Blender, and we're gonna just make some stuff. Like, for example, we need to make like some trees, some like, you know, I made this this bush over here. And Blender's opening up. Very good. I made this bush over here. I'm very proud of how it looks. I just kind of quickly modeled some leaves and, you know, put it on a blob. But yeah, I'm also really proud of how this river looks too. I'm really proud of how I got this whole world to look. It looks very good with it just being some blobs. But yeah, let me pull up my reference real quick. There we go. Just slap that over there. I have my reference up on the second monitor, but I also have the stream up there. So I'm like trying to like cover up the stream in a way I can still see it, but it's like not, but I can still see the reference. But yeah, I'm thinking we're just gonna make some trees. And I got some references up of some trees. So literally what I'm thinking of doing is, I don't know, I'll just add a cube, I suppose. Actually, no. We take all these vertices and merge them together. Because then what I can do is I could sort of extrude it out and just kind of draw an outline. I want to get the height accurate too, so you know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to append Jimmy. There he is. He's a bit big because the scale is a bit off, but that's fine. And then I have animations on him, so I just gotta get rid of those. We don't need any of these. And we don't need the sword either. But yeah, so how tall is this tree? This is already a pretty darn tall tree. Maybe just do it like that. That looks better. And then we could just start extruding out some branches. Just kind of in random directions. I'm not really thinking about where I want these to go. They're probably all going to be covered up anyway, so you know. Just kind of extrude some of these points out. Maybe we add some branches like down here that go up. Maybe like that. Yeah, it looks good. So now, what I can do is I can add a skin modifier, but actually before I do that, I'm actually going to model these roots as well. Just so that I can probably have it like kind of coming up from the ground a little bit, and you can kind of see the roots a little bit. Just kind of do that. There we go. Something like that. That'll work. Maybe like one of these roots is a little bit longer than the rest. Maybe like that. So yeah, the reason why these are all just, you know, vertices and edges is because now we can add a skin modifier. Generate skin. And there we go. Now we have our tree. We just need to adjust the thickness of some of these vertices. And one thing we should probably do too. Let's see. No, I always forget what it is. It's Control A. It's such a weird shortcut. I do not understand. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of do that. There we go. And then what we can do too is we can add a subdivision surface. And then yeah, that'll help it look a little bit more smooth. Another thing too, if like you're wanting to learn like game dev and like modeling specifically, like legit, I know it's kind of a meme at this point, but literally Blender Guru's donut tutorial, he makes a new one for every version of Blender that comes out, and it's genuinely really helpful. It's okay to have a little bulge at the bottom. The root flare naturally sits above the soil. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I do kind of want to get that look a little bit. And I could kind of raise these up just a wee bit. Yeah, definitely. It's at this point such a meme among like people who use Blender a lot, but yeah, Blender Guru's donut tutorial is genuinely such a good way to like get started, because like he goes over everything, but like he doesn't make you seem like stupid for it. Like he talks about like how to navigate like the view space and like how to like add objects and stuff, but like it's not like he's like, you know, slow about it. Like as he progresses, he assumes that you know what's going on. Like I recently had to when I made that bush, I legit had to reference it to be like, because there's a whole thing in Blender called geometry nodes, and it's a way to like, I needed to like scatter leaves across the little bush blob I made. So I'm like, I completely forget how to do the whole geometry nodes thing. And I looked it up, and it's not like he was like going over all the basic controls for like the 15th time or anything. Like, it was just quick, like, you know, here's how to do it. It was very simple. And I'm like, well, thank you. So yeah, that is absolutely a good way to go. I could probably just legit grab all of these points and just... There we go. And again, this is all gonna probably be covered up anyway. But you know. And I could still probably just extrude some points if I want to. So no joke, I'm thinking of probably doing something similar with the more realistic looking trees in Jimmy's World. Is something like this. It'll, you know, there'll be like a bit more like detail to it, and it'll use like some better textures, but like, so if you go into the Unreal Engine marketplace, you'll find if you just look up trees, you'll find some free Megascans trees, which are some good high quality looking trees that are just available for free. But the problem with those trees is that they use up so many resources. Like, you port it to like one thing. Like, I ported my game to the Steam Deck in order to show it to a friend, and it runs fine because this is a pretty beefy computer that I'm running this on. But on the Steam Deck, it was so slow. Like, I'm talking like 15, 20 frames per second when you're even near any of those kinds of trees. And it's like, that's so annoying. So I'm legit probably going to have to, and I think there's an add-on in Blender that just lets you generate trees anyway. So I'll probably have to look into that. But yeah, I want these branches. See, I'm not so big a fan of this whole situation. Maybe I bring this branch closer and then just kind of have it come out. No, there's a weird little artifacting going on there, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Maybe just get rid of this branch entirely. Yeah, it looks better. I'll just do that. And then maybe this branch can come out this way. And then just the way this all connects together, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. But otherwise, yeah, so far this tree's coming together. Yeah, this though. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe if I mess with this a little bit, maybe bring it closer. It's not really fixing it. If I just move this up. There we go. I suppose that works. If I like move these up a little bit. Let's see. I mean, yeah, that's not bad. I could probably add some more detail in the branches by just like kind of doing that, maybe. There we go. Boom. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Just one more thing I want to do before I start adding the leaves. And I just want to move these roots up just a little bit. As a matter of fact, what I could do so I can kind of see it better is I can add a plane and scale it up. And then I'll more easily be able to tell if it's underneath the plane. Yeah, you know? There we go. Looks pretty good. brought down just a little bit. And then we just bring in Jimmy just to kind of see how it looks. I'm thinking, at least for now, I could just make the one tree. And then just, like, copy and paste it into the scene and rotate it. But, like, eventually, I'll probably make some more trees. But for now, this ain't so bad looking. If we shade smooth. I suppose I can't do that with the skin modifier, huh? So let me apply this. And now let me shade smooth. Yeah, there we go. And then I could apply the subdivision as well. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of add a bunch of spheres. Just gonna kind of, didn't mean to do that. Just gonna kind of duplicate and scale, just like a bunch of spheres. I'm gonna have like bigger ones near the middle here. And then as they come out more, they'll get smaller. I keep hitting the wrong button. But yeah, I am so glad that, just as a side thought, that I got done with that Union Cross presentation. So now streams are going to be a lot more chill. Thank you so much for playing my game. So yeah, streams are going to be a lot more chill from now on. Now I don't have to worry. But there's still a lot of like cleaning up I have to do, and like a lot more things I need to think about. But the outline is done, and I couldn't be happier. There we go. So yeah, be prepared to see that once we're done playing. Literally, once we're done playing through Dream Drop Distance, is when I start doing that. There we go. Yeah, because I want to see some branches underneath still. But yeah, looks good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, I think it's, yeah, data remesh quad. Number of faces, we'll go low number, like 500. Nah, that's too low. Try that again. Maybe like 1,000. That's better. Because, I mean, it's not like it's gonna matter that much anyway, because we're gonna, well, actually, I don't think, okay, yeah, no, these are still separate objects. We can't do this yet. We need to voxel remesh first, and we'll try that. So yeah, now it's all one object, and we can come in here and we can sculpt it to make it look a bit more natural and not like a bunch of spheres. So we break out the old drawing tablet. Oh boy, I dropped my thing. Hold on. Excuse me. This is mostly where I'm going to use my reference. But yeah. I'm just going to kind of draw out some of the gaps in between these spheres. Just to make them connect better. So this is mainly just gonna kind of look like an amorphous blob. But once we're done with this, we're gonna add the leaves, and then that'll make it look a lot better. Just kind of draw out under here a little bit. Just kind of draw this out a little bit. Maybe make this connect a little better. I could probably turn on, I mean, it's not like it'll matter, but turn on dynamic topology to sort of get a little bit more detail. I'm noticing it is kind of squished a little bit. So maybe we can draw this side out just a little bit more. Oh, we got a branch sticking out. We can kind of take the grab tool and just sort of pull it. We smooth this area out just a little bit. Come under here and just kind of pull up. And we could get rid of this plane now that we're not really messing with the roots as much. Yeah, that's coming together. That's pretty good. There we go. Maybe we make the brush smaller, and then we just kind of paint in some extra details that we could just sort of smooth into it. I don't fully know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something. And that's what matters. We kind of just bring this up a little bit. And then let's just bring the top up of this just a little bit more. And there we go. That's a pretty good looking tree, if I do say so myself. So now, all we gotta do is add the leaves. Before I stop making more tiny nitpicky adjustments. Ah, it's good. It looks good. I gotta stop. It looks good. So I add the leaves. I'll show you what I learned using geometry nodes. So what I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna add in another plane. I'll shrink it down to about there, and then let me just get rid of that. I think that's about a good size, right? Maybe a bit smaller. Maybe a bit smaller. So then what I'll do is I'll bring this out. I'll kind of bring this in. Kind of have it shaped like a leaf. There we go. That's pretty leaf shaped. And then we can just maybe bring you down just a little bit, or maybe bring you up like that, maybe. That looks good. So there's our leaf. So now what we're gonna do is we'll bring our tree back. And we'll come into geometry nodes. We'll make a new one. And oh boy, let me see if I can remember. I might need to pull up the bush just to have reference, but I believe it's distribute points on faces. And then join geometry. So we have the points as well as the leaves underneath. And then from this point, I literally forgot. So let me just open up my other. As if I saved it. Did I even save it? Oh no, I might not have saved it. That'd be bad. Did I really not save it? I guess not. Alright, guess we're pulling up the tutorial. But before I do that, I will be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. So I will be a second. It won't take me too long. And then when I get back, I will probably pull up that tutorial again because I can't believe it. I literally forgot how to distribute a bunch of points on a face. So give me a second. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about the wait. I wanted to grab myself a drink as well. I got myself some tea. It's Yogi Sweet Tangerine Positive Energy. And I think it's cold enough. That is good. It's got some caffeine in it, so I could be a bit more energized, because I literally just woke up like about an hour and a half ago. But yeah, let's look up that tutorial, because I literally can't believe it. I forgot how to do this. So let's see. Oh my god. I'm not logged into my account, so I'm getting all these ads. You gotta love it. Okay, here we go.
The feature we need for that is called
We need, yeah, joining.
Top of your screen. If you don't see it, just middle mouse. Reference. We need to reference
Here we go.
that little sphere that we've just created in our geometry node system. And you can do it very easily just by dragging down from your outline up here. Just dragging it down.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Okay.
You just literally drag
So
it
now
into
let's
the
just
node
create
group and
some
it automatically does it. That's cool.
Space. Okay. And what I need to do is add another node to reference this object. And the node is Shift A, instances on points.
Instances on points. Not like, I was thinking like mesh on points or something. But no, it's literally... So I could just do that. I didn't even know I could do that. That's very convenient. So, instances on points. And then... There we go. There we go. So there's our leaves. There we finally got them on. We finally got them on here. And I think what I ended up doing was I took the rotation and I put it here. So the leaves are oriented to like the rotation of the mesh that it's on. As a matter of fact, I could actually go into my leaf because they're all pointing up right now. I could just kind of take it and rotate it 180, the actual mesh. So now it's pointing down. And what I can also do probably is I can sort of take this and rotate it on the X, so they're just kind of pointing out a little bit. So like that. Something like that. That works. And what I want to do is, actually, let me increase the density of this. And then just sort of give them a little bit of space around each leaf. And then just kind of keep going till it's at a spot I like. So maybe like 75. Just enough to be like, it's that like stylized looking blob, but it's not entirely like, you know. So I think what I want to do now is, so I have the rotation, but I want to randomize it a little bit. So randomized value, I want a vector. And then I want to add it to the rotation it already has. So it's taking a random value right now between 0 and 1 for all of these, and it's adding it to the rotation it already has. I want to sort of adjust these a little bit. So maybe it's more like, so it's less randomization. So maybe like 0.2. Might be too little. Let me try 0.5. That might be a bit too much. Let me try 0.3. That's better. And then I can also rotate the mesh itself again. Yeah, that looks good. And this blob underneath is also going to be painted. Well, it's going to have a texture on it. Hey, another sippy. I'm also thinking of randomizing the scale as well. So maybe we just literally take this value and we'll add. So the scale is 1 already, right? So we'll just add 1 to this. So it's a random value between 1 and 0.3 after I do this this here, and then if I put it in scale, excuse me, now I have a little bit of randomization on the scale. Maybe we can even, instead of a 1, maybe we could try like 0.6. So it would be a random value between 0.6 and 1 if I wanted to make them smaller. Which, honestly, I don't mind. I do just want to make them stick out just a little bit more, though, if I'm being honest. Honestly, that might just work. That might just be good. And then if I rotate it on the Y, I could sort of have it so it's not like perfectly straight. That's kind of messing up what it's looking like back there, though, so maybe we don't do that. Alright, so here's what I want to do now. After taking another sippy. I want to put textures on these. So this looks good, I think. I think this is what I'm going for. Oh yeah, I need to add a node at the end of this. Realize instances. So now I can actually apply this geometry nodes modifier, and that'll work. So we have our tree here. If we go into textured view, wait a little bit. Doesn't have any textures. So we'll go in to the shading tab. And I'm thinking of, I'll add a new material. I did already make a grass texture, so I'm thinking of using that. But what I'm thinking is, instead of UV, let's try object. And then let's hide the leaves just to see what that looks like. So this grass texture is just a, like... I went into Clip Studio and I drew different shades of green using a watercolor brush onto a plane. And now I'm rendering this image based on, like, a projection onto the object. Or I could do, like, generated, just to see how that looks, which is very similar, but that's fine. If I try normal, then it's kind of, like, all warpy. I don't know if I like that as much. I think object is best, because if I do UV... this doesn't have any UVs, and if I come in here, oh yeah, well, now this is where I come in here and I quad remesh, because this, so since I sculpted out this object, especially using dynamic topology, this is the amount of vertices it has, and if I come into statistics, it has about 5,000 vertices and 10,000 faces. It's not ideal. It's a lot for something, you know, so simple. So if we come in here to remesh and quad remesh, and we could set the amount of faces, so we could say like like compared to the 10,000 faces it has, 1,000 might be a lot better. So we could just come in here and do that. And you can see that the faces, like, there's no, like, weird topology. Like, faces actually... It actually does its best to make the faces flow into each other as best as possible. So there's no weird stretching or anything like that. And it looks a lot better. So, and then we can shade smooth. And it's like nothing changed. It's just now a lot more optimized. But yeah, now what I could do is I could take this... I can go to UV editing, and I just go smart UV project, and then it just takes like all the faces, determines like what angle they're at compared to its neighboring faces, and just makes its own seams to cut out and put on this 2D plane. Which then is using the texture that I made, the grass texture, as a reference for like what part of that texture gets put on what face. So that's what UV unwrapping is. But like if I come into here now, and since it's generating from the UVs, you can see there's all these like sharp seams. So for something as organic as this, I'm thinking I might want to take this texture and just have it be based on a projection of the object. And you can see there's like a little bit of stretching here, but it's not as bad as the harsh seams we were getting by just doing the UV. And for something more like square, like a building or like a, you know, cube or a man-made object or whatever, then it'd be more beneficial to like actually go in, mark the seams, unwrap it, and like make it look good. And then that's where you'd use this. But I think this looks better. And we'll do the same for the actual tree trunk as well. As far as the leaves, since that's a flat plane, I'll add a new material. Let me get my image. I also have this image. And since it's just a flat plane, we could use the UV little pip there. And this is the same as what I've used for the bush. And honestly, it ain't bad. So I think we just leave it at that. So if we get our sphere here and then we enable the geometry nodes, you can see all the leaves now have that texture. And looking at it now, I almost might want to randomize the rotation of this a bit more. So maybe we do that. Maybe we do like 0.75. That's a lot. That's already looking a lot better. We just legit try random from 0 to 1 just to see how that looks. I don't know, maybe that's a bit too much. I like 0.75. I think that looks the best. So it's random, but not completely random. Alright, now as far as this tree goes, as far as you go, I'm thinking I want to put seams around where each of these roots are and these branches. Because I want all of these to be facing a certain direction. And I want to optimize this a bit as well, because that's an excessive amount of faces. We don't need that many. Do this as well. And I mean, honestly, you know, honestly, these branches were a good reference to where to put the leaves, but now that we have the leaves, honestly, you might not even need any of this. So what I could do is I could legit just delete that and then come up here and just delete all that. So we just have this and then we just have that. Okay, you know what? That makes my life a lot easier. Now, as far as you go, so we don't even need, like, just trying to clean up where I think we might not need certain objects. So we can just, like, get rid of these. And that still looks fine. Yep. We don't even need this bit. There we go. Let's see. What else can we get rid of? Get rid of this up here. And then, yep, that still looks good. And then with this, we still need that kind of, like, you know, branching off thing there, so. Just trying to see where. Okay, so we can get rid of you. And and then get rid of you. There we go. Yeah, that definitely makes my life a lot easier. Just cleaning up some of that. So what I want to do now, I'm just trying to think. Maybe we put a seam from here down here, and then have it go to here. And then the reason I'm thinking so hard about this, and I didn't think so hard about the leaves themselves, is because I want to actually paint this tree to make it look like the branches are, or like the bark of the tree is going in a specific direction. Whereas with the leaves, it could just be like a vaguely watercolor looking thing. And I think that's good. And then just for these branches here, clear these, I think, and then we can just there we go. Oops, that's not what I want. Unwrap. I assume this is the... Yeah, I should probably make this a bit better. Yeah, like this whole bottom here. Can be optimized a bit. Maybe we just completely separate it. Trying to figure this out because there's some bits that are like kind of clipping inside themselves a little bit, but it's not that bad. Maybe we try this. Okay, that's better. And then just kind of fix that a little bit. I think that might be good. Alright, so now what I want to do, I just want to see what some of these are. I want to rotate them. I want to rotate all of these so that they're all facing exactly up and down as best as possible. I think those would be fine. That's fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And especially you, like that. And then this we could probably even just shrink down a bit because we don't need to worry about it as much. And yeah, there we go. So now I'm just gonna pack islands. Select all of them. That'd help. I'm gonna give it a bit of a margin, so there's a little bit of space between each of the islands. Maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's better. Man, I almost want to... just select you. We select the bottom here. And just kind of shrink it down a little bit. Because I want these to be more straight. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to be a bit more straight, because I should probably explain my plan. My plan is I want to make a texture that looks like tree bark going like up and down. So it looks like there's, you know, so it looks like actual tree bark. And if I were to do that and these faces were like stretched out at the bottom, then how that would translate onto the mesh would be I'd have it go up and down, but they'd appear like curvy on the actual mesh. And I want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So I think that looks good. The branches are a bit curvy, and so they'll end up curvy on there. But that's not really going to matter as much. I'm more worried about the actual tree trunk itself, because that's going to be the main thing. You can probably even make this a bit bigger. And then, yeah, now let me pack. And, yeah, there we go. So I should probably save... You know, that's probably not... Oh, that's where I saved the bush. I saved it in the clouds folder, which I tried making clouds, like, way earlier for this world. But I think I want to do them in a bit of a different way. Okay, so that's where I saved that file. I'll just save this here. And yeah, let's make that texture now. After I take a sippy. Break out the old drawing tablet again. So we just open Clip Studio. Make it, yeah, 1024 by 1024 is good. Pull up my reference again. So we'll start with a sort of like darker brownish color. And then just to kind of get the base on there, we'll just kind of... So this is kind of how I've been making the textures for this world. Is, it's actually a lot of fun to do. So this brush pack that I'm using is, I think it's like, yeah, it's up there. I'm trying to expand the tab to see the full name of it, but it's Jazza's Ultimate Digital Brush Pack. And it's got a lot of brushes. Like, this is all the brushes that just come with this pack. It's got, like, charcoal, marker, pencil, watercolor, even some effects, like some, like, flower petals, grass, rocks, birds, stuff like that. So I'm using their rough watercolor brush to kind of make these textures with, and honestly it looks really good. I am a huge fan of these brushes. And like, I don't draw much anyway, so it's like literally this brush pack is like everything I need. The reason I'm not just filling this in with like a solid color is because I want to kind of have that like sort of papery texture underneath, even if it is very subtle. So I'll add that, and then we take like a lighter, more yellowish orange, and then what I'll do is I'll make this brush smaller and just kind of paint down here. And again, I don't fully know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of looking at reference and just being like, yeah, that's vaguely what it looks like. And I'll add more colors to this than just these two. And let me get a really like deep brown. Let me make the brush even smaller. And just like even smaller than that. then maybe like roughly where I think the tree texture really is, like the tree bark. Maybe I could add like a knot here. And then everything else can just vaguely be like this. Just kind of going up and down a little bit. Not really thinking about where these lines are placed, just kind of doing it. Might think I'm gonna want to make this brush smaller still to get like some really fine detail. Yeah, let me make this an even darker brown and then get an even smaller brush. Like real nice and small. This might take a little bit. I don't know if I want to do it like this exactly. Maybe we get a different brush. Maybe we get like a maybe we try this brush. See what that looks like. Ooh, you know, because it's got like that like texture to it. If we just kind of subtly come down with this. That's not bad. Kind of go around the knot a little bit. Make it just a wee bit bigger. Yeah, because I like that texture, like going across it like that. Kind of get the bottom of this going, and then let me just add a little bit more up at the top there. Again, just not really thinking about where this all is going, but you know. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. What I do want to do now, though, is I kind of want to take, like, a lighter color. Maybe, like, here. Make it real small. And just sort of paint on some highlights. Still try and make it subtle. Actually, yeah, I don't know if I want... I could probably also do this on a new layer as well. Yeah, let me get some of the finer details on a new layer so I don't have to worry about messing up what I already did. I don't know, I might want this to be like real nice and small. Problem is though, is like the smaller the brush is, the more I have to do, and the more not straight the lines become. I do just want to maybe bring out that knot a little bit more. Yeah, these lines are becoming a little bit too uniform. Curious if I do it like this. That's not bad. Just kind of go up and down. Yeah, there we go. Something like that, maybe. That's not bad. Okay, yeah, now we got it. Now it's coming together. Maybe we can benefit of this being on a new layer is we can reduce the opacity of it so we don't have to, so it doesn't pop out as much. Maybe like that. And then we take this darker color, maybe make it even darker. Maybe more on the red side, and then just kind of do the same thing for more of the shadows. And then we can just sort of yeah, I like how that looks. When making just such like a vague texture like this, the less you think about it, the better. Oops. Did not mean to do that. think that looks good. Maybe we could reduce the opacity just a little bit more. I think that looks pretty good. I think we'll work with that. Let me just have a stretch real quick. Have another sip of tea. Hello? Oh. Computer? Computer, you good? Huh? What? Clip Studio, you good? You good, fam? Okay. Alright, well that happened. Alright. Now let me come in here. And the best part too about this being a cartoon world is I don't have to worry about literally any of these other values here. I don't have to worry about roughness, I don't have to worry about normal maps, I don't have to worry about specular. I just literally, I take my tree and I plug it in, and that looks really good. I actually really do like how this looks. And like, thing is, there is still some seams. I want to try and hide these seams a little bit better. That does look really good though. Like if I add in the leaves. Now that's a stylized looking tree right there. That's a good looking tree. I am so happy with how this looks. Wow, that is really good. You can see the knot there as well. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'll do. In order to cover up the seams, I'll take this same texture and instead generate it via the object. So it's like taking the geometry, and that actually looks kind of good by itself. But like, there's some parts that are like still like really stretched and all that, so I think going it by the UV is the way to go. But just in order to hide some of those seams, I'm going to add a color mix. So I'll mix these two together, and the factor will be an image texture. I'll just make it like a 512 by 512. Yeah, so right now it's just taking from the UV. But in order to hide these seams, I'll come into texture painting. I'll turn on textured mode. And then I actually made a brush mask of the watercolor brush I've been using. So what I can do is I can come into, I think it's texture mask? I can't remember. I make a new texture. I have it be image or movie, and I open up this. This is just a little mask I made of the brush that I use in Clip Studio. So now I can actually paint with that brush. So what I'll do is just where these seams are. Okay, it's not texture mask. It is... Because texture mask will just paint a tiled version of this texture on the model, and that's not what I want. I want just texture. Right? Is that what I want? No. That's just what that does. I do want texture mask. Wait, right? No, it's just tiling it. Do I want... mask mapping... view plane? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So now it's actually taking that into account. So what I could do is I could just kind of paint around where these seams are. I don't know. I might want this to be a bit bigger. So if I scale you to like 2... No, 0.5 I mean. You try like 0.25. I want it to be a lot more subtle, so I want to make this texture bigger. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. So now I could just kind of paint over the seams to just make it look a little bit. And we don't have to paint over every single seam, just like kind of where it's the most obvious. I'm not even using the drawing tablet for this, I'm just kind of using the mouse. Let's see, I think that looks good. I think that looks good. And then if we come up here, oh yeah, that's pretty obvious there. Just kind of paint over that. I think that looks good. Maybe just kind of do that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Honestly, if I add some like roughness and specular and a normal map to this could pass as like a realistic looking tree. Ooh, there's a big seam there that I want to get, though, real quick. Right here. Yeah, I want to get this seam. Just kind of do that. And then maybe we could take, like, this, like, blurring brush, the soften brush, and just kind of make it not as obvious. And eventually, so little bit of a side tangent. I've been working for DoorDash recently, just to earn a little bit of extra income, and I want to actually get a Substance Painter, which is a more like industry standard like 3D texture painting software. It's about $150, which is not bad. So I've just been kind of like, along with the income I already make from my day job, I want to have DoorDash to be a way to be like, this is like more building up like my game budget. But yeah. So my point is with that is, Blender is almost kind of notoriously really bad when it comes to more advanced texture painting. Like, it has all the basic like details, and like that's why I legit like I could have like painted on the model, like, you know, the texture of what I want the tree to look like, but I did it in Clip Studio because I could actually use my brushes, and I can actually like have more control over what I want it to look like. Whereas with this, you could just like put a texture on your brush, but it's not even like that effective. Whereas in Substance Painter, you can actually you can have more control over, like, you know, brush strokes. There's actual like pre-made smart textures that you can use. There's just a lot more to it that I really want to try. So now that I did that, what I need to do now is I need to bake what I made here into its own texture. So what I can do is I can just take the color information by pressing Control Shift and then clicking on this node here. And then I bake it into its own image texture, so that my adjustment of like hiding the seams and painting over it actually shows up in the real texture. So let me add an image texture, and let me rename this file here to, instead of tree, let me rename it. So let me open it back up again. I'm gonna resave it, and the whole screen might go black again. I'll just rename this to like wood bark, and then I can even re-export as wood bark. It's the exact same, but just to make life a little bit easier for myself, I'm gonna clean it up here. The reason why I do that is because I want to make a new texture, and I want this to be called tree. And then it's 1024 by 1024. So we'll bake what I did here onto this image texture. So we'll just, we need to be in cycles, and we need to come into bake. We'll bake the emission, and just let that go. Let me save it, I suppose. And we'll just let that bake for a sec. Oh, there we go. So I noticed there are some rather large margins there. I don't know how I feel about that. Is that actually... I don't know, I feel weird about that. Let me try baking it again, but with smaller margins, like maybe like 4 pixels. Try that again. Yeah, that makes me feel better. I just don't want the margins to overlap into any of these other islands here. So now I can save this as a tree. We can save over that, that's fine. So we can save it. And then what I could do is I can select both of these objects and then export FBX. And this will be tree.fbx. Alright. Back into Unreal Engine now, finally. Let's see if this looks good. So make a new folder, call it tree. I gotta sneeze. Oh boy. Sorry about that. And then, yeah, we'll just, take this, drag it in. We need to, adjust some of the materials on it, but it looks like it came out pretty well. So I'm actually going to get rid of all of the materials it generated, because I'm going to make my own materials. So this needs 3 materials. So for the leaves, well, okay, so I could just take my shrub and sort of duplicate this and call it material instance tree, and then just kind of drag that in there. So I just realized the shrub isn't even using the material instance. It's the exact same. I copied it from when I made, so I've also made like some grass clumps as well. And I also, what I need to do is, here, let me hide this modifier. I need to actually bake this texture as well. So we'll just do that. Don't die on me now. Is it really just taking this long? The bark didn't take nearly as long. I just have another bit of a stretch. Okay, now it's picking up. Yeah, that's weird. Did it even go? It sure didn't. That's cool. Yeah, that's connected. That's what it looks like. I need you to bake, please. I know I didn't change anything, which I probably should. Why is it not baking? Alright, well, you know what? It's fine. It's not that big a deal. I want to do this in a different way anyway. So it's fine, I think. So we just open up my tree. Let me get the grass material, which I believe is in here. I guess let me make a new material, call it like tree leaves. And just kind of put this grass material in there. That's the tree bark. There we go. So it is projecting it along its UVs, which is gonna leave these like very obvious looking seams. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. So for the leaves, I'm gonna put that in there, and it's already classified as a double-sided material, so we could actually see both sides of the leaves. And the fact that some of these are darker or whatever isn't really gonna matter, because when I drag it in, there's not gonna be any shading anyway. And then now here comes the fun part. We get our tree bark, and we got to import this from over here. There's our tree texture. I gotta rename it in order for it to import. There we go. And we just kind of drag that in there. Alright, so we have everything. Let's drag it in and see how it looks. Ooh, baby. Now that's a fine looking tree, if I've ever seen one. Yeah, I love the way I just love the way the bark looks on this. This is such a good looking tree. And if like you come out here, it's like, what I love so much about this watercolor effect is like, when you're actually painting something using watercolor, things that are smaller and farther in the distance are a bit harder to like nail down, like, and get like, you know, the specifics. So like you'll be painting the landscape and like these like small like trees using these like tiny brush strokes, and it's not gonna look like exactly like straight and like perfectly detailed. And I just love how the farther away you get, the more like distorted it looks, and then as you get closer, it's like you actually are able to paint it with more like detail, so you're able to just like, I don't know, do that. And I just think it looks really cool. Let me just, while I'm here, I do just want to make like a general like grassy looking material. So I have this material called M underscore grass leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my textures and grab this grass that I made, put it in here, and then I'm going to come into my assets grass clumps, which is being referenced from here, which is in base materials, which is right there. So I have a bunch of these little modifiers, so I just want to take all these and just copy it. And then paste it here. This gets plugged into UV, this gets plugged into texture, and this gets plugged into base color. So we'll save it. And then we have this now. So this could be going into base materials. So we have grass leaves. So now what I can do is, instead of using U, force delete, that's fine. And then if I come into this shrub, I can get rid of U and get rid of this texture because I'm not a big fan of it anyway. Go into materials, base materials. I can make material instance off of this and then call it mi underscore shrub, and then you are shrub leaves. And then I could just drag you in there. And now I have these little sliders I could play with. So I can kind of blend the color of the actual shrub underneath to the leaves on the outside a little bit better. So I could just kind of maybe make it a bit more yellow. Just kind of fine-tune it to make it look a little bit better. I think that looks good. And then, yeah, we really got to do some work with this tree here because there's not a lot of leaves on it. So if we come into here, so there, and then there we go. Just kind of playing with these settings a little bit. I think that looks good. And then I have all the same stuff with the tree leaves here too. Yeah. So you can kind of mess with this a little bit as well. And something I might want to do too is I might want to have a contrast slider. So you're being referenced by grass clump, which is here. Which is also being referenced there. Oh, whoops. I did not mean to do that. I see. Is there a way for me to adjust the contrast? Cheap contrast. Okay. So if I add a value here, okay. Yeah. No, I'm not that big a fan of this effect. How would I be able to do this? I could bring in my grass texture. And then just kind of alert between the two to give it more of a subtle effect. So 0 is the grass texture, and then 1 is the more vague looking one. I could do that. I might want to do that before all the modifiers, though. So we just have... So, like, no matter what texture it's working with, all the modifiers are being applied to it. So, yeah, there we go. And then... we'll get this value, convert it to a parameter, and we'll call it like grass texture. Alright, so now that we have that, we can come in here and we have this new slider. Just bring these a little closer. I came in here to do something, but I literally forget. Oh, right. I want to make this an actual slider, so you can't go above 1. So yeah, if we do that, we could do that, and then we can kind of blend it in a little bit better. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Maybe we can make the whole thing just a little bit darker. So like maybe we do that just so it pops out more from the background. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. And then we could do the same for the shrub. Is just kind of make you a little bit darker. So it pops out from the background a bit more. Yeah, that looks great. That looks really good. I'm really liking how this is turning out. So what I can do is, again, I can just, like, duplicate this tree and rotate it and scale it so it looks like they're different trees. Eventually I want to actually make more trees. But, what I can literally do is I can, so I can get rid of, these. I can come into foliage. And I can add the shrub and the tree as foliage. And then I could come into, like, single. So every time I tap, it places a new tree. But what I can also do is I can change the scale to have a minimum of like 0.75 to like 1.5. So every time I place a tree, they're like all different sizes. But also I can, let's see, I know I can do the same with the rotation. Random yaw. I think it is already doing that. Yeah. So it is already randomly rotating the trees every time I place a new one down. So yeah, I could just literally come in here and just place a bunch of trees. And because I made them myself, it's not gonna absolutely kill the frame rate. So I can actually legitimately start playing from here. And there's no collision on these. At least not yet. Actually, when I imported these trees, I said I wanted it to generate its own collision. So yeah, collision presets. Foliage just doesn't have any collision, just in general. So I could hit block all, and then I could select all these trees, and then hit reapply. So now they should all have collision, right? Why did it start me? Oh, because the player start was inside of a tree that had collision, so I have to just run all the way back. Let me see if I can... I can't make that jump. Get me out of there. Okay, yeah. So I might want to... Okay, so I might want to turn off collision. At least for now. Because, like, it generated its own collision, but it's, like, it generated it, like, very... Like, very wide. So I can't even, like, get myself in there. So I can, instead of block all... Where, literally? Okay. No collision. Select all, reapply. There we go. And then... place some of these, like, shrubs down as well. And eventually I want to have, like, different kinds of shrubs as well. And yeah, that's fine. But yeah, we made some progress. I want to say we did good for what we did today. It was a much longer stream and a much more chill stream because we're actually doing something different, and we're doing something a bit more fun and creative. So yeah, I genuinely enjoyed this stream, but I think I'm gonna end it here. My plans for like these trees and bushes is I want to have like little flowers like blooming on them. I think that'd be very cute. But yeah, let's see, what should I do on Tuesday or on Thursday? I either want to add more plants, like maybe I want like big mushrooms or something. But I also might want to like start making like some man-made objects. Like I want to like add bridges that go across the river. I want to actually add a texture to this lake I have over here. And then maybe start thinking about what I want some of these buildings to look like. But I think I'll start with like these, like having a bridge that goes across the river like that. I need 2 bridges, one over here and then one over there. But yeah, it's coming together. I'm really liking how this is turning out so far. It's really coming along well. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you on Tuesday. I keep saying Tuesday. I'll see you on Thursday for more of this. I can't stop saying it. I am so happy with how this world is turning out so far, and I know we're just starting, but it's going along really well. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good one. Peace.